I remember it was my 20th birthday, which I guess kind of seems late. I mean, I had a mini bike when I was younger, but my dad had bikes, and on my 20th birthday, it's finally like, hey, take this around the yard. And it was the very first bike I rode was his 1979 Super Glide shovelhead, and I was tooling around the yard. And I remember, trying to figure out the clutch and the throttle, which I had been familiar with on 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers and stuff. But the grass was kind of slick. I was all sideways on the grass. So he's like, you know what? Let's just go out on the road. So we just jumped on the road, and that's just kind of the way my dad has taught me everything. Just do it. There's really no instruction. Just jump right into it. We lived out in the cornfield, so there wasn't too many curvy roads, but he found the curviest roads he could take me on the first ride. I remember being absolutely terrified and then getting off and just thinking that I don't ever want to stop doing this. I love this feeling. So from that point on, I was just absolutely hooked. I'm Josh Kurpius, photographer at the Harley-Davidson Motor Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My very first bike that was my own is a 1977 Sportster Ironhead, which I still ride. It's my daily rider. I started with a pile of parts and put it together with the stuff that I had available to me. Some friends threw in some parts like the handlebars and a rear fender and a front end, and then I pretty much made everything else and really didn't have a clue, but that was the learning process. And by the time I was done, I was like, well, I built the entire thing. So if something happens when I'm on the road, I'll know right where to go. I'll know how to fix it. And I just kind of went through a tough period of time coming out of college. And it was the point where I just got on my bike and I just started riding. Almost 8 years, I was basically living from my bike. I would do coast to coast, San Francisco to Brooklyn, California every year, around Lake Michigan every year. I never planned on shooting motorcycles. I was going to go into commercial photography, and I just started meeting people, and they're like, hey, we're going over here. We're going down to Mexico, or we're going over to the East Coast. We're going to California. And I would just be down to go wherever because I just didn't have a plan. And then somehow just do it, just living my passion. I was never looking for anything. I never sought out work. Somehow I've been able to create a life for myself where it's solely based on passion. And I never really compromised either. I was just doing what I loved. And if it was something that wasn't me or didn't fit me, then I wouldn't do it. And my family didn't really understand it at first. Like, what are you doing out there? You're just going. You don't really have it. What's your plan? What's your goals? And I just knew what I loved. Number one was the motorcycle. I just loved Harley-Davidson motorcycles and mainly choppers and vintage choppers at that. So that was my passion. The camera kind of fell second because it was a means of keeping me involved in the thing that I love the most 24/7. So that camera is basically what made the connection to carry me around the world. I've been around the world riding motorcycles, and it's because of that camera. And don't get me wrong, there's moments when the sun is setting and the air feels right and you're riding with your friends. You look over with this big smile and all of a sudden you start snapping, and I just start feeling it. Just comes from inside. You just get this feeling, and that's where all the moments start happening, and then you just start clicking. That is a huge part of my style. Is just not. I don't ever want to direct anything. I don't want to. It's very rare that I'll ask somebody to redo something. Like, oh, that was cool. Can you redo that? Well, it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be natural. If I've missed it, then that's just life. That's how it works. And you just keep moving, and moments will present themselves. And that's kind of how I started with my friends. I was just, to be honest, I never want to be known as the photographer. photographers to me are just kind of nerds and geeks. I want to be a writer. For me, if I'm respected as a writer, that's where then I can shine, because they respect me as one of them. They'll bring me in, and then they'll just be their honest self, and they respect what I do, and they put their guard down. And then I'm just one of them, and I'm grabbing moments, but they're not even really noticing me, because I'm never putting a camera in somebody's face or saying, hey, can I take you over here? Can we do this, or can we do that? But my style kind of was born out of my friends who all rode a specific style of bike that was, I guess you would call it period correct, where everything was built to a certain time period, and all the parts on the bike were typically nothing newer than what would be out of the factory from 1974, let's say. So you would look at the bike, and it would just have that, it would already inherently have that look of a different time period, because nothing on that bike was newer than 1974. And then they themselves had a dirty, gritty look that just was timeless, or it fit that 70s time period. So then when you get them out in the desert or in a location that kind of fit that same time period, then it was money. I want stuff to be timeless. And that leads back to growing up in the cornfields, where you'd have this clean horizon where it's just an infinite horizon. It just goes forever. It just kind of like, it takes my soul. I remember being a little kid in the back of the car and getting to those areas, and for some reason I could just feel my soul at ease, like this is where I need to be. So my photographs kind of reflect that, where there's just this open expanse, and there's nothing that's really tying you to a specific time period other than the bike itself. I mean, riding has done so many things for me. I mean, it's my life. It's what shaped my life. I knew from the first time I rode a motorcycle that this was going to be my life. I knew I couldn't do anything else. And I was somehow just fortunate enough to find my way through it and make a living at it somehow. But actually for me, and it fits this time right now, it's just the solitude. Even when you are in a pack, you're still in your own little bubble, and you can just let your mind go. You could just disappear into your thoughts, and you just yeah, I mean, it's probably cliche to say all that, but I mean, it's the truth. And then for me, it's always that time of day too, when the sun is setting, and that 90-degree air is now turning into 75-degree air, and you hit a little creek, you dip down into where there's a creek, and you feel that cool air, and the smells, and all your senses just kind of come alive when you're riding a motorcycle. I mean, you have to be, your senses have to be alert because of everything around you. You got to take it all in. I guess that would just be something that's simply said is, I guess, freedom. It's cliche. I know it sounds that way, and a lot of people say it, but it is the way it is. It's freedom to take in the world the way you want to take it in, and you can kind of lose yourself, or you can enjoy it with other people around you, and there's no end to it. There's so many beautiful places in this world that you can explore, and you can see it and feel it in a whole different way, that some element of risk and excitement, and it just hits every sense, and you're super aware, and it's just an undescribable feeling. And that's why I ride.